Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
An explosion rocks downtown Rochester.
All of a sudden there was like an explosion over the building almost. Like it went up high. It's real loud. You can feel it in your chest all the way over here.
The blast shattered windows and injured multiple people as first responders quickly scrambled to help. That explosion was heard just before 8:40 tonight. It happened at 423 Main Bar and Grill Rooftop, which sits on Main Street in downtown Rochester.
We're told the explosion is linked to a propane tank on an outdoor heater lamp that caught fire. Jacqueline Francis is live on the scene, and she just spoke to the Rochester fire chief. Jacqueline, you learned some children were among those injured.
That's true. Before we get to the injuries, I want to show you where we are. The fire investigator just got on scene, which is why we are at the end of the block here. But if you look behind me, those red lights, that is the restaurant where it happened. We want to also show you video we took earlier where you can get a closer look. How can I get that from you? Can you text it to me? Probably familiar with them. If you're eating outside at a restaurant, they're often there to keep people warm. Now, we're told by fire officials that an employee came outside, went to go light that heat lamp. It caught fire, and then a few moments later, it exploded. Now, there were people walking by when it happened. Those were the people that were injured. 5 people, including 3 children, were taken to the hospital when this happened. Now, all 5 of them were stabilized before they left the scene. So we are expecting them to be okay. But again, 3 children hurt, 2 adults also taken to the hospital. And then an additional 2 people were injured as well, but they were treated on scene. They are going to be okay. We did talk with the fire chief soon after this happened. Here's what he had to say.
And when we got on the scene, as you might expect, it was pretty chaotic. The firefighters did a great job when they arrived. Just so happened Rochester Hills ambulance was coming by at the same time, so they jumped in. They quickly started to triage the injured.
Chief, is how often you see these propel-fueled heat lamps at restaurants. Luckily, no one was eating outside when this happened, but it makes you think about all the times you sit next to them. Now, the chief says he doesn't want to scare anyone off. He wants to get to the bottom of why this happened, and then he'll have more information. So he doesn't want to scare people off, but it's just something to think about, especially as we get into summer when you see those throughout a lot of restaurants. Reporting live in Rochester, Jacqueline Francis, Local 4.
Thank you, Jacqueline. The situation is still developing, and we expect to have more updates in the coming hours and days. We'll keep you updated right here on Local 4 News and over on clickondetroit.com.
First Lady Jill Biden was in Detroit today. Tomorrow, President Biden will be here.
The president will be speaking at the Detroit branch NAACP's Fight for Freedom Fund dinner. The civil rights organization will honor Biden with the James Weldon Johnson Lifetime Achievement Award. We'll be at tomorrow's event, and we'll bring you coverage on Local 4 News at 6 and 11 and over on clickondetroit.com.
In response to Biden's upcoming visit, the Michigan GOP posted to X tonight saying, quote, in honor of Joe Biden's visit tomorrow, let's remember how he failed Michigan, followed by a list of bullet points, including, quote, skyrocketing inflation, pain at the pump, enforcing EV mandates. Getting a look outside now at our Ann Arbor Skycam. After a warm day, things are starting to cool down out there.
Ron Hilliard joins us now. And Ron, the cool down is coming right before a bit of a warm up, huh?
A little cool air out there, but it's going to be refreshing because it is going to be hot tomorrow and for the next several days. All right, let's talk about hot. I know it's subjective. A lot of people have different degrees, temperatures that they prefer, but we're talking about mid-80s and maybe even some spots getting into the upper 80s. Right now, we're looking into downtown Detroit, the view looking up Midtown into the New Center area and on up toward the Ferndale area. Now, 62 is the current temperature in Detroit, 67 in Pontiac, 61 in Port Huron and Monroe. A little chilly tonight with temperatures getting down into the 50s, but normal and very comfortable tonight. We do have mostly clear skies to partly cloudy conditions, but we are going to see some patchy fog developing in some spots. Already seeing a little fog out there, especially as you get over toward the Port Huron area, seeing some of that fog and with it a little bit of mist. So what do we have in store for us for the rest of the night? Well, we're staying dry for the most part besides those areas with the fog and mist, but we do have the chance of some showers returning as we get into tomorrow. We're going to talk about that, the chance of some showers, the heat, and also We're going to talk about how to protect yourself from the UV radiation. That's all coming up.
One man is dead after being shot during an argument with another man outside of a McDonald's. It all unfolded around 11 o'clock this morning at the McDonald's on Greenfield near 8 Mile in the Lodge. Police tell us it started with an argument in the restaurant's lobby and then spilled out into the parking lot. A woman who was inside the store told our crews the argument was between her husband and her ex. Oak Park police confirmed both men were armed and that a 34-year-old man was shot. Once shot, he got in his car and drove before crashing on 8 Mile near Coolidge. Police say the man died at the hospital. The other man, a 25-year-old from Detroit, was arrested.
A student pilot and flight instructor had to make an emergency landing in a field near Oxford High School. This is a picture of the scene. Police say the two took off from Oakland County International Airport around 3:30 for a flight lesson. Shortly after takeoff, they reported engine troubles and needed to return back to the airport. However, they never made it. No one was hurt in the crash. Tomorrow marks 4 years since two dams failed in northern Michigan, causing historic flooding that destroyed homes and uprooted thousands of people.
All told, about 10,000 people were asked to evacuate their homes after the Edenville and Sanford dams were breached. That put downtown Midland and surrounding communities underwater. A report released by Eagle found the failure of both dams could have been prevented if different actions had been taken beforehand. Last year, a judge ruled the owner of the Edenville Dam is liable for $120 million in damages.
Over 300 pallets of humanitarian aid were delivered to Gaza today, thanks to a new pier built by the U.S. In this video, you can see several trucks filled with the aid. UN officials say the food situation in the region is dire. More than 300 trucks have entered the strip since Israel began its assault on Rafah. The U.S. military says the goal is to get around 500 tons of assistance into Gaza through the pier every day.
A new law in Ukraine went into effect today that requires all men of fighting age to register with the military. Ukrainian officials say men between the ages of 18 and 60 must enlist. However, only those between the ages of 25 and 60 can be drafted. The law also states people serving a prison sentence can apply to join the military on a voluntary basis. Currently, there is no end date for those who have been called for military service.
One of Michigan Humane's biggest fundraisers is happening today, and no doubt the pups are the star of the show.